Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gayle Carson. Welcome to Living Regret Free, a program that shows you how to live a better and more joyful life. As an added bonus, I invite you to listen to an introduction to my Mindset Matters program, which ties into this so well. Go to www.sobmindset.com. It's free, and I know you will enjoy it. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at gaylecarson13@gmail.com or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gayle Carson, and I have a delightful guest for you today. His name is Tom Antion, and Tom has never had a job. He's an internet multimillionaire guy next door and founder of the only licensed dedicated internet marketing school in the country. Plus, I've known Tom for a number of years. We belong to the National Association, the National Speakers Association, and we also were involved in the Internet Information Marketing Association. We were both partners in that. So he's a good old buddy of mine and a brilliant, brilliant marketer. So welcome, Tom.
Hey, I'm a spunky old buddy, I guess.
That's right. That's right. Well, you know, Tom, I know that you've got your own podcast called Screw the Commute, and you definitely believe in people being able to make a living, never having to leave home, basically. And you've got this school that is dedicated to teaching people how to do that. So tell us a little bit about what your life is like now, since this is all about living regret-free.
Well, yeah, and my big premise, Gail, is that if you're in the car going to another job, somebody else is getting rich on you. Now, all work is honorable. There's no question about that. And many people have to do it, but many people look back and regret the fact that they didn't have time with their family and they didn't get to do the things they wanted to do. And so I've been screwing the commute since, before college. I had 5 apartment buildings and a hotel starting with nothing. And never, ever have I commuted to work. And my resume kind of looks like BS because I've done so many things, which you can almost live 2 or 3 lives if you're not commuting to work. And I know people that are working, it feels comfortable and it's a reliable paycheck. But I'll tell you what, there's all kinds of things you could do if you weren't doing that commute.
Well, that's true. But don't you think, in a way, I certainly commuted to things that I did, but I've always had my own business since I was 21. And I could never, I knew I could never work for anybody because I never could do things that I thought were stupid. So, the only way to do that was to be my own boss. But yet I know that there are people who are afraid to go out on their own. They're afraid to take that next step. How do you talk to people like that?
Well, the beauty of, this is the best time in the world to be able to be in business, either part-time or full-time. So you do not have to scrap everything and risk everything and go full-time in business. You can put your toe in. Now, you have to put your toe in substantially. You can't just fool around with it and think you're going to make money. But you can do things on this. They call them side hustles now. Somebody made up that term, where you could keep going to work, but instead of watching Seinfeld reruns, you could be building an online presence and at very low risk because you can build world-class websites. Even when you and I were working together, it was $100 to build a world-class website if you knew what you were doing. So I tell people, invest in their knowledge. What's that?
The key. That's the key, if you know what you were doing. But most people really did not know what they were doing. And I think they still don't know what they're doing in terms of websites.
Right. And what I'm saying is invest in your knowledge, because you can buy a simple course for $100 that could save you thousands of dollars on a website, and nobody will be able to tell that you made yours because they're templated. Like the gold standard is WordPress, which is free. And then a responsive theme. Responsive means it looks good on tablets and cell phones, which where most of the searches are being done now. And you're looking at $100 for a really gorgeous one and then maybe a few custom graphics on a site I've been talking about for years called Fiverr, Fiverr.com, where you can get all kinds of stuff for anywhere $5, $15, $20. And you've got a website, you've got a worldwide presence right there. Now, that doesn't mean you know how to drive traffic and the other things, but you can have many of these things for almost nothing if you just invest in your knowledge.
So when you talk about people doing this as a side hustle, which I can appreciate, do you think that the generation that's coming up now, which is very, tech savvy, do you think that they're more prone to be entrepreneurial now than ever before? I mean, when I started in business, first of all, there were practically no women in business.
Right.
But do you think that the tech savvy young person today is more likely to be entrepreneurial, or do you think they still want to go for a big company like a Google or Facebook or somebody like that?
Well, I think some of them want to go for the big companies, but from an entrepreneurial standpoint, they are tech savvy already from the womb. They're coming swiping the heart monitor when they came out and got born. But other than that, they're also, I don't want to say entitled, but they don't like the going to work and being under somebody's thumb. They want to do their own thing. So that's a great combination. Tech savvy and want to do your own thing is 3/4 of the game right there. You add some knowledge on marketing and a good product mix, and you're in business nowadays. So I think that some of them are sucked in by the big Googles of the world, but there's millions out there that are never going to do that. That could be vocational. This is actually a vocation, internet marketing, rather than a degree type thing. So it's open to lots of people that are tech savvy. I mean, there's plenty of high school dropouts that can just run rings around you and I with handling computers. You hired one of them for us, remember?
That's right. And he went to work at a big company. So
well, he did, yeah. But I mean, if it wasn't for him, we'd have been in trouble because he rode his bicycle to work.
Well, now, what about, this Internet Marketing Center? What kind of people come to you? I mean, I know it's for a great variety, but the most people who come to you are what age group, or what are they looking for, and what have you discovered about them? Well,
there's a variety, different factions. So one faction would be the 35-plus-year-old person, 35 to 65, really. And that person has been displaced and wants to keep up their lifestyle. Maybe their job doesn't exist anymore. Maybe they were downsized for younger, cheaper help, and they need to retool their skills. They've got a lot of earning potential in the future. So that's probably the bulk of them. And then the other ones would be kids that are not wanting. I mean, we even did a webinar about this on everybody's been brainwashed that you have to go to college, and I'm a big educational advocate, but the things that are going on in colleges now, they're inflating grade point averages to make it look like they're doing better, and the kids are dumber, but they're getting higher grades, and they're enormous debt. So we're courting the young kids that want a vocation in 6 months to a year. They could have a highly in-demand skill with almost no debt. And so that's the ones we're targeting now because we got plenty of the displaced people. And then another faction would be people with mobility problems, because not only can you learn this skill remotely, there are legitimate work-at-home jobs now. And I have to emphasize legitimate because there's been so many work-at-home scams around there. But big companies don't want to pay $100 a square foot to have you sit there and write a blog post that you could have written at home, and they can check it before it goes up, and they didn't pay those big rents. So there's legitimate jobs. So 3 different factions would be the displaced older person, the younger person that doesn't want to get buried in debt and needs a marketable skill quickly, and disabled. And we also give discounts to military and so forth. We're big proponents of military.
So what about, so how many of people actually come to the physical school, and how many people take the training online?
Okay, this is funny because not one student has ever set foot in the school. it's
I
distance
kind of
learning.
figured that. Knowing you, I kind of figured that.
Well, I mean,
Find
yeah, but the darn thing is, it's I don't know, I probably end up paying $8,000 to $10,000 a month just to have this building that I have to get the license. I'm the only licensed dedicated internet marketing school in the country, and so a lot of adult education schools opened up and ripped people off with a 2-week education and took all their money, and so they really cracked down a few years ago. So listen to this, Gail. I have to have a library, a physical library, when nobody's ever going to set foot in the building. so it's kind of crazy, but it's all distance learning, and it's what they call asynchronous, which means you don't have to show up at a certain time of day. It's all, you can do it if you're holding down a job, you can do it in the middle of the night if you want, and anywhere in the world that you can get an internet connection. So no, the students never come there unless we have a special event and they happen to want to fly into Virginia Beach.
So that, that brings up a point. As you know, I had a chain of career schools, so I'm familiar with the licensing and everything else that you have to have. But I'm just curious because, you have to have the library, which I remember the library that you had in your own home, which was a marketing center for so long. But you also, does anyone ever come around and check? Because, if you're a licensed school, they're supposed to come around and check, are you really doing what you say you're doing? And I'm wondering, do they ever say, well, where are all the students? Or do you never hear from them again as long as you're complying with all of the regulations?
Oh, heck no, heck no, heck no. Every year we have to recertify. They actually do spot checks where they'll come in and we have to just they'll pull randomly 10 student files out, and they'll sit there with an auditor and go through and make sure everything in our student catalog is happening inside the student's folder. And did we put a student on probation? Why? All these things. No, it's really a different atmosphere nowadays. Like I said, because so many of these vocational schools were just totally robbing people. So yeah, every year.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I know we used to go through the same thing. But do they ever say, why are there no students here? I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous, but then again, some of the requirements are ridiculous. So I'm just wondering.
No, because they know it's distance. They know it's a distance learning school. So now I can go ahead and have inside students, but I'm known to SHEV, which is the State Council on Higher Education in Virginia, and I'm known to them as a distance learning school. So no, there's never a question, why aren't there students here? But and I don't want to make them mad, so I don't say, well, how come I have to have this 4,000 square foot building for that? And I don't feel like upsetting them while they're checking my books, right? But
is that where you've moved your offices, to that building?
No, I never set foot there. Instead, we have meetups there occasionally, and once in a while, I have my infamous butt camp there, which is one of the 3 longest running internet seminars. And I come from a comic background, so I'm never going to do anything with have a boot camp. So I was sitting there making all this money sitting on my rear end, so I called it butt camp. So I've done them in like 11 countries, except in London they made me call it bum camp instead of butt camp.
That's cute. But so who is in the building? Is there anybody in the building all day?
Yeah. We have Jennifer, the bookkeeper, works out of there. Lakia, the social media person, works out of there. Mark, the one of the instructors, and the video editor, my full-time video editor, work out of there. And like I said, we have meetups there and so forth. And occasionally we'll get a walk-in person that sees the sign and come in and ask for details. But it's just a big old building. And I'll tell you what, I don't mind so bad, because the reason I did this is because as I was coming up through the ranks, there's just so many scams in internet marketing. Nobody's regulated. They can say and do whatever they want. And so I wanted to set myself apart from that. And that's why, nobody in the internet marketing field, you can't think of one that's gone through the scrutiny I've got with background checks and bonding and criminal all these things. And we have to have so much money on hand in case of student refunds. And I mean, it's just really serious stuff. So nobody that you can think of, any kind of big name person that you can think of, has gone through this kind of scrutiny. So when we say something, it's true. That's the way I work.
Well, that's great. And so tell us some of the other things that you're involved with to make living regret-free the way you practice what you preach.
Well, I still work out of my home. I screw the commute. My entire life I've worked out of my home was no commute. In fact, I had a nightclub for 6 years and I lived above it so I wouldn't have to commute. But I do things. One of the things that I do and I teach is how to make your hobbies legitimately tax deductible. And so I have right now I'm looking at two $50,000 protection dogs. So I have a protection dog company on the side. I'm a tennis nut. So I have a website called Fatso Tennis for unbelievably overweight and out of shape people that love tennis. so it makes and we sell a tennis DVD. And so it makes my tennis stuff tax deductible legitimately. And I'm no CPA or accountant or lawyer, but I've cleared this with numerous ones that have been in my programs. And making your hobbies tax deductible is a great thing, because most families, if their kids are in soccer or they like golf, they just blow all that money. But if you just made an inexpensive website, you don't even have to have a product. You could refer people to other products called affiliate marketing and make it at least a portion of it legitimately tax deductible. So I just do the things I really love to do, and I make a website about it and either sell something or refer someone else's product. And so I'm really living and doing everything I love, but getting a business benefit from it. So it's like a double whammy to the good.
Well, I know that you've always been a supporter of dog charity causes. You were very active in the Bichon Frise organization. I don't know if you still are.
Well, those little foofies went to doggy heaven, but we still have a website called IamNotApoodle.com, and we collect money for Bichon Rescue there. So far, we've done about $25,000 for Bichon Rescue. So yeah, I just love the animals. They're they never cheat you, they never lie to you, nothing. They just love you to death. Yeah.
That's for sure. So tell me about these protection dogs that you have.
Oh, I was and this was serendipitous. I was on an airplane, and a couple guys next to me are sitting talking about dogs, and I just started BSing with them, and they found out what I did, and they had a big protection dog company in Southern Virginia, and of course I'm going to go home and look at their website, and I noticed it was just a piece of garbage, and I called the marketing director up just as a favor. I wasn't trying to hustle business. I just I wanted to give him some tips. And he said, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? We paid $49,000 for that and $1,500 a month maintenance." And I said, "For what? I don't know. This is a $100 WordPress site." So they called me in to do a day's training, and they said, "Well, how much would cost for us to bring you in for a day to teach us what's wrong?" And I'm thinking, I don't want to charge that. It'd be $20,000 for a company. And so I'm thinking, I want to be nice to them. I said, "You know what? You give me a fully trained protection dog, and I'll do it for you." And so I did the whole day training, and then the president said to this buddy, or kind of a buddy now, he said, "Give him Rubik's." And I'm like, "What's a Rubik's? I don't know what a Rubik's is." And the marketing director's face turns, just white, chill as a ghost, and the president thanks me and leaves. And so I said, "Hey, John, what's up? Why you look so crazy about when he said, 'Give me Rubik's'?" He said, "Rubik's is worth $50,000. I said, "Well, that was a good day's work." Yeah. Wow. He's trained in home invasions and carjackings, and he'll stand at the ATM machine and turn around and watch my back. I'm at the ATM machine, and he'll do building searches, and so I just fell in love with that, and then I got to know the trainers, and then I got to see the prices for these things and how it all works. And I said, well, let's start a company. And because, I feed the dogs raw, so it's very expensive. I go 100 miles up into the hills to get raw chicken and stuff like that for them. And so it's getting pretty expensive. So I said, hell, let's sell these things. And we only do a couple a year, but still, $20,000 to $50,000 each. That's pretty good side hustle, And plus, I get to have a dog, and I just love them to death.
But weren't they doing this anyway? Weren't they selling these dogs?
Yes, they were. Yeah. Oh, yes, they were. But they were getting raped by their web designer, and doing things incorrectly and charging them a fortune for basically nothing because they didn't know any better. That's why I implore people to get the knowledge, because these web designers see you coming. They know you don't know what you're doing, and you say, "Oh, I got to have a website," and they say, "Okay, well, it's going to be $7,500." Oh, geez, okay, where that same website, if you spent a couple $100 and got some tutoring, you'd build it yourself for $150. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
So, what else would you like us to know, Tom, about living regret-free?
Well,
we have 5 minutes left, and I want to make sure everybody knows how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, and I've really lived this my entire life, and doesn't mean that you don't regret some of the things you do, right, when you're doing as much as I'm doing. But the thing is all of it adds up. You got to think back to everything you've done has made you what you are today. And so, I mean, I had the nightclub for 6 years and was in gunfights and knife fights and bikers trying to kill me, and was in 100 violent encounters, and they blew up my car with shotgun blasts. I mean, all right, so anything you live through can make you a different person later. So a couple years ago, I saw all these terrorist attacks, and I usually keep the self-defense stuff on the down low because you want the element of surprise. And I said, you know what, I got to come out with this. So I came out with a site called Brutal Self-Defense, and teaching these really, really nasty techniques to keep you and your family safe. And so anything that's gone behind you, even if you think you regret it and it was tough and rotten to go through, it's made you what you are today, and it makes you your unique character in the marketplace. So embrace it, and just keep in mind if having more money allows you to do more things so that you don't regret them when the time comes for you to go to some afterlife. So the side hustles that you can do now or full-time, if some people are retired and they want something to do full-time, they're just sick of sitting around. This is the best time in the world to be in a small business because of all the tools we have available. In fact, people can go to my website, screwthecommute.com, and leave a voicemail for me right on the website. And then I get an email, and it says, hey, you got a voicemail. And I listen to it, and I can talk right into my cell phone and send you back a voicemail that you'll get an email and listen to it. And guess how much that costs? It's free. All right. It's SpeakPipe, SpeakPipe, speakpipe.com. So these tools there's hundreds of them that are extremely powerful. When I started this, we only had nothing pretty much. No social media, no blogs, no nothing. But now, if you take the time to get the knowledge, wow, you can make massive things happen for you and your family.
Wow, that's great. So that's where you want people to go, to screwthecommute.com.
Yeah, that leads them to everything I have, screwthecommute.com. There's a resource page, the free webinars. If you're thinking about doing any higher education, you've got to watch the webinar I created with a whole bunch of industry experts that are in the education industry telling about the things that colleges and universities are doing to you. And then be prepared to be mad after you watch it, because there's a lot of money being thrown at these colleges that are just getting bloated, and the kids are out there competing for a job at Starbucks. So we don't want that.
Absolutely not. And so is there anything that you want to offer to our listeners that they might be able to take advantage of?
Yeah, I have an ebook. It should be at screwthecommute.com/automate. And we sell it for $27, but it's it's a whole bunch of tools. I mean, I got to as much as 150,000 subscribers and 40,000 customers with one part-time temp person. The only time I started hiring people was when the accountant told me I needed tax deductions. So
Right.
it's a whole bunch of tips on how to make answer emails faster, and tips on your cell phone to make it go faster. And one of the tips you'll see has saved me 9 million keystrokes over the years. So screwthecommute.com/automate. And if that's incorrect, I'll make sure you have it in the show notes.
Fantastic. Well, you've heard from Tom Antion. I can tell you he is just another person that is amazing in everything he does and comes up with. He was a hoot to work with, and I went to many of his butt camps. So if you have any interest in having one of these side hustles, or if you want to screw the commute and live regret-free and not have to worry about going into a job and parking and travel and mileage and all of that, go to screwthecommute.com, and I'm sure you'll be happy you did. Thank you so much for being with us today, Tom. It was indeed a pleasure.
So glad to reconnect with you, Gayle.